2, 1, go!
Hi everyone, Operator Starsky here, joined with Dawson, Commander 401, my buddy Matt, Fallacy Dave, Nick, Claire, and our special guest Anna from Ukraine. Very, very nice to see you here, guys. I missed you, and last time it was impossible, unfortunately, to participate because we had no power. But yeah, we can do everything now because I have a power station. So let's jump real quick to the news from Ukraine, and of course the biggest news of this week probably is liberation of Kherson. Our troops managed to take control over the most of the right bank and the whole city of Kherson. Kherson was the only major city that was captured by Russian troops during this invasion, and currently we can say that we returned everything back. And according to reports of the local authorities, according to reports of our representatives of security sector of Ukraine, the services already started working in Kherson, including police, including ambulance, including firefighters, rescuers, and the security service of Ukraine as well. And we also have news from Mykolaiv, because we remember that Mykolaiv was often hit by Russian artillery and missiles and drones. And because of those strikes, city now lacks the water supply. And chief of Mykolaiv, Vitaly Kim, said that it's going to take probably 2 weeks to restore the water supply to the city, which is great, which is awesome. Also, President of Moldova today congratulated Ukraine with liberation of Kherson. We also receive a lot of complaints on the occupiers, because it appears that occupiers robbed a science library and museum in Kherson. They stole a lot of valuable assets from the museum and the library. But I think that we'll return it back eventually. Dick?
Yeah, we I think the whole world is buzzing right now with the Kherson news. And I know with Anna from Ukraine being a guest on the show again tonight with us, everybody's definitely looking forward to hearing from her on the subject. So let's go right to Anna. Is she there? I hope so.
Anna, how's situation in your part of Ukraine? You gotta unmute.
She's dialed in because of power loss issues. So it's literally a phone call for her. It might be a little iffy on her side. We're not sure how this is going to really play out. We hope it works.
Yeah. So Anna reports that they lack electricity in her part of the city. Unfortunately, so probably we will have a bunch of interruptions tonight. But she's with us anyways, and hopefully she will be able to join us as well. As for electricity shortages in Ukraine, it's a frequent stuff. We were laughing with the guys just prior to this stream that previously in Ukraine, in like April or May, it was a perfect pickup line. For example, you could walk up to a girl in a bar and say that you have a full tank of fuel, and yeah, like everything is set. And now it's like electricity. Now you can say, do you want to charge your phone? Yeah, so it's kind of funny here. Yeah, and a lot of our people are celebrating liberation of Kherson. Yesterday there was a whole square of independence full of people in Kiev celebrating liberation of Kherson. Oh my God, I think you probably saw all those videos from the city. It was amazing to see all those people just enjoying and celebrating, and
there was some serious pure joy on display in some of those videos. It was awesome.
Yeah. Anna, can you hear us?
Yes, I do. Do you hear me?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, we're back.
Yeah. Thank you. From time to time, I may disappear in darkness, but then return back to light with you guys. Because we do have electricity shortages in my part of Ukraine too. Not that often as in Kyiv. And I know that some people who travel from capital to West Ukraine see how more and more light appears on the streets. And it's kind of weird thing to experience, but we try to save the energy, and we have these planned shortages. Also, I'm really happy to speak about Kherson, and this is a kind of topic I can discuss for days and hours, because this is something very much awaited. I remember observing the bravery of Ukrainian people at the beginning of this war, and how they protested, opposed, went on the streets with Ukrainian flags. They were so brave. It seems to me that one of these jokes that I loved so much and inspired me to start my vlog about the one lady who advised Russian soldiers to put seeds into their pockets, so when they are killed and get into Ukrainian soil, they will do at least something good. They will grow up as sunflowers or something. It seems to me that this idea comes from Kherson region, maybe. Some people were brave, and people are brave, and it's really, really important to watch all of these videos. And like, even without electricity, we don't save our batteries to watch these videos.
The backup power supply, Starsky, that you were mentioning, I mean, those just must be worth their weight in gold right now.
Yeah, it's true. I had to spend crazy money to buy this EcoFlow Max.
Investment. That's investment.
Yes.
Yeah, it is, but it wasn't planned. But still, but it helps big time, because I can use my laptop for like 10 hours, maybe even more. So yeah, the internet is another question, because sometimes my mobile internet is kind of bad. But
sometimes we have electricity, but our internet provider does not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not helpful, right? You've got the little device all ready to connect, but there's just nothing on the other side. That's not helpful. But
yeah, many
they
new
must be
experiences.
Oh, sorry, Anna.
No, I meant many new experiences, but we are fine.
It must be hard to get the juggling right for the rolling blackouts, because there must be, like, you know, supporting industry and so on that just needs to happen. But then you also got to make sure that people have some power here and stuff. That it must be a nightmare to be the person that's at the top of that job list. Oh, wow. Not sure I could shoulder that kind of responsibility.
I guess so. But again, you know, civilians can overcome this eventually. The main thing is that it doesn't influence our front lines at all. I heard from different civilians that they would trade power for victory. So all Ukrainians are united and dedicated in this regard.
I remember when I was a kid, we also had some blackouts and this rolling, how is it correct to say rolling shortages? Because like the history of Russian terrorism is long, and they often use gas, electricity, and other stuff economical to manipulate Ukrainians. And then we had these blackouts in the evenings, and many people of my generation remember these times as one of the best, because like parents had nothing to do, children had nothing to do. They lit the candles and they spoke about the day, and somehow problems turned out into one of the best childhood memories. So it may be just the same with these experiences that civilians have with electricity shortages, that from one point of view, it's complicated, it may be cold and dark, but we know that we are doing it for the sake of the country and the sake of the victory, and maybe in a couple of years, this will be good memories.
Well said. Very good. Very good. Nick, as it, you know, there was lots of talk about the withdrawal from Kherson and you know, trap stuff and whatnot. What news sources came out with real egg on their face on that one? Or are there people, is there any thoughts that it could still be you know, some kind of more longer term play?
I think at this point, Starsky had mentioned earlier that They're obviously concerned about that. At this point, I don't think it is, except for possibly blowing the dam. Right now, the Russian troops are still in the way of where the water would go. So you'd think Putin wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't put it past him either. Obviously, it's just an ongoing thing, and I don't know how long it's going to take before they get the mines off. Hopefully, Starsky may have some insight into this. The only thing I joked with Starsky about this, we have finally found the one thing that can stop the Ukrainian advance. The Ukrainians have just been rolling at mad speed. You can see this video of them going through into Kherson. And we have finally found something that can stop them and stop them cold. It is the Ukrainian people picking them up and carrying them into the streets. They are so happy. They are surrounding the vehicles and like pulling the soldiers out and hugging and kissing them. And you can find immense amounts of footage of this online, and it's actually slowed them down because everybody, you've never seen people this happy. And one of the other things I really like about it is it shows you how much what Russia has to say about we're liberators, and it is just utter fucking horseshit. It's, you can just see these people, and they are, you have never seen people this happy. You can find footage of it. Do yourself a favor, make your day, go find the footage. But it's the Ukrainian advance has finally slowed down, and I think it's for very good reasons. But it is kind of funny. As for the Russians, they got out of there so quickly. Many of them tried to swim and have drowned. They've run over each other. Their front line moved so far back so quickly that the back line became the front line. So everybody in the back was just like, why are we on the front now? And nobody told them. So if it's a trap, nobody's notified the Russians that they should spring it. Anyways, that's. But I do think. I mean, my concern would be the dam, and so I don't know if Starsky knows how long it would take or what it would take to get the mines off.
I saw that crazy. Two craziest things that I saw today. First one was geolocation of Russian phones. Actually, there were like a lot of red dots indicating physical location of Russian telephones in the middle of the river. There was like probably 100 of them or something like that. And another thing was people in Kherson, a lot of them didn't have access to internet, of course, to media information, and they were shown footage of Ukrainian armed forces destroying Russians. And there's like plenty of those videos at this point in the internet, and they finally received access to those videos. They were amazed. They were like, oh my God. They were watching those videos on the phone completely, like, it was fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, we've got Commander in waiting, but we've got Claire in waiting with a couple of shouts first up.
Okay, thank you, Dick. From that Indian dude for 20. Ever since liberation of Kherson, I have been reading pro Rusdin Cope. It brings joy to my life. It's such comedy. And then we have a new member. Welcome to Show Master, Seth Count. Welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Dick. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Very cool. We had Commander was waiting. That's what it is. I can do this. Commander.
You know what the craziest thing I saw about the withdrawal from Kherson? They managed to steal like a shopping mall train that the kids ride in. And there was video of it on the other side of the water. They've forgotten their own people, but they managed to get one of those kiddie trains from a shopping mall.
Shopping mall. Nixon.
Oh yeah, I wanted to. I forgot to mention one thing. Many of you know that 1984, which talks about propaganda and brainwashing and all of these other things, was based on Stalin's Russia, and they really do those things. It's been like that. You can see Stalin removing people from photographs as they became, or even moving them. So there'll be Stalin, and as somebody falls out of favor, they will be moved out of a photograph further and further away from them, and they'll send out the new copy of the photograph for everyone to paste in their books and all that other good stuff. So this is real, and we have this is real. I swear to God, this was the statement on one of their earlier withdrawals. This was the statement from the Russian defense minister. You need to hear this. This is good. This is good. Quote, "Our heroic Russian soldiers are victoriously retreating from the region, followed by panic-stricken Ukrainian forces." That.
Oh, you got to hear that to believe it, haven't you? That's incredible.
In the words of Monty Python, "Run away, run away." Come on.
Yeah, heroes retreating and panic-stricken soldiers advancing. Yeah, that works.
When faced with danger, they ran away. They buggered off and they checked
Exactly.
I tell you this, guys. I tell you this. After combat mosquitoes, I'm not surprised.
Combat mosquitoes. What the hell was
Which
that?
leads. I want to bring up something serious. On one of your last streams, Starsky, on your channel, and you were talking about the Wagnerites. Why don't we just call them wankers and be done with it? It means the same as Hulo.
Yeah, I agree on that. I agree. I think we already called them this way.
The videos of everybody getting all happy and stuff. Do you think everybody is still of the mindset that, okay, there's more to come? Like, let's not get too overwhelmed. Is it grounded in reality? People like, what I'm getting at here, Starsky?
Yeah, sure. And my commander today made a post on Facebook that we should not also forget the guys that are still fighting, because they pay big price for that, for our victory. We are also losing men. Like last week, we lost some of our soldiers, some of the guys I knew as well. So we gotta stay focused, but of course we cannot deny that the liberation of Kherson was a huge morale boost for everybody, because this is something that we needed.
Yes, it's such a big moment, isn't it? It's huge. Right at everybody having a good time about it. Right at where some of us were doing Remembrance Day and whatnot too. Pretty good timing. All in, not bad there. I thought that was pretty good. We should turn to Claire here. We got a super chat we can slide in, and a good one too.
Yes, we do. From level 70 for $27.99. Hi, Starsky. I read that Ukraine was building a huge wall along the Ukraine-Belarus border that Donald Trump would be proud of. Do you think it will be finished before the Russians decide to attack from the north again?
I really hope so, but the funniest thing was that Belarus was mad about this.
Yes.
They sent Ukraine a note of protest saying you should not build this wall because we might decide to attack.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Is Belarus going to pay for it?
Oh no, that's too fun. You can't make this still fun. Like that's.
Trump should put out a book, How to Build and Finance Your Wall.
Oh God. Oh well, back to you, Dick.
Well, Anna, let's turn to Anna here. Complete open floor. What would you like to get into, bring up, chat about, or any and all of the above?
Well, I can continue about that wall with Belarus because I live in a region that directly borders Belarus. I
Oh,
have been to Belarus a couple of times, and yeah, the funniest thing that I also enjoyed was the fact that they were angry. They were actually building this wall. But another funny thing I remember from the very start of this war, and people in these northern regions of where I live, they were extremely active and at the same time frightened with the quick movements of Russians at the very beginning, and they started preparing. And the landscape and the nature here is complicated for these direct movements of vehicles and people because we have lots of swamps, forests. And I know that people were so active protecting the roads, protecting those, I don't know, parts of the territory that can be used by our enemy, that they've told us not only Russians or Belarusians will be able to pass this territory, we are afraid that for a couple of months it will take us to clean all of that trees, all of that things that we have brought to protect the border. So it will be difficult even for Ukrainians to move in that direction in case we decide to attack Belarus. But we won't. We will liberate it in a different way. And I honestly believe that the victory of Ukraine can lead to many other victories in other countries like Belarus, for example.
I agree on that because we see that everything is based on example. For instance, when Putin invaded Ukraine, we now see Iran rising up. We see in a bad way. I mean, we see North Korea. We see China. Building some intentions towards Taiwan and stuff because they see this bad example that there's a maniac who actually did it and basically he feels fine. So we need a lot of good examples as well. We need this example of Ukrainian fight of Ukrainian liberation. And this will be another morale boost for people in Belarus, for people suffering in Russia as well. So I think the world needs that as well.
Yeah, Taiwan, Hong Kong, many people observe, and Ukraine and the support that the world gives to Ukraine can be very important. Like, I have promised myself I will always be attentive to other wars and conflicts since the Ukrainian war, because we all live in this world that is so much interconnected, and it is no way that we can be like neutral or don't want to go into. We have to be on somebody's side, and of course on the side of good, not evil.
Well, and part of the reason the Soviet Union broke up was because of the loss in Afghanistan, and it showed that the Soviet Union could lead. It showed that you could, and then everybody said, "Hey, we want out of here," and that's one of the reasons why. And we had talked about this earlier, why Taiwan is such an existential threat to China. If China allows Taiwan to go, or if they somehow escape, every other region in China is going to want to go. And what you're seeing now in Russia is there's a lot of political unrest, and one thing that's kept it in check is this idea that Russian soldiers are almost physically invulnerable to bullets, and that you don't want to mess with them. And all of a sudden, the Ukrainians are showing that that's not even remotely close to true, and that's very empowering to people. So it's going to take a little while for the news to start to filter, but that's how and why things like the Arab Spring happened. It just takes one event like this, and it starts to roll forward. So I think both of them are absolutely correct. It's remarkable. It's going to have a very positive influence, and hopefully, it's going to really start to move the ball. But even if it doesn't, the influence it's had already has been remarkable.
There's definitely this whole balance, being played out in a couple of areas. Absolutely. There was a thing in the Wall Street Journal: as the Russian army falters in Ukraine, parliamentary leader close to Putin flexes power. There seems to be a few reports of people in Russia kind of, getting a little bit frustrated and fed up with this stuff. And it's hard to know whether or not that would be true. I'm not too interested in it either way. But there was the other report, Starsky, I wanted to check with you on. Ukraine is creating the world's first fleet of naval drones. That's some really, really good thinking, because as we've already seen, that's very effective strategy, right?
Yeah, it is. We had a lot of different controversial plans regarding the fleet earlier. So some people would say that we gotta have like big ships, like frigates, like cruisers. Other people would say that, and I think that it was our preferable doctrine, that that our fleet must consist mostly of smaller vessels armed with torpedoes or missiles, so-called mosquito fleet. But obviously, fleet consisting of drones is much, much more efficient, in my opinion, from what we saw. Yeah, like
yes,
drone fleet can completely eliminate the Black Sea fleet. It can.
Yeah, they're
wipe
just
it off.
sitting ducks against them.
Yeah.
A big, huge lumbering battleship that can achieve maybe 25, 30 knots or something. I mean, it's almost a useless item now.
Yeah, exactly. And the funniest thing is that Russian fleet cannot use that because it goes against their maritime doctrine. So the difference between, for example, American and Russian fleets is that American fleet is mostly made for offensive operations. That's why they use a lot of aircraft carriers, but less weapons located on vessels. And Russian ships are armed big time. They have plenty of missiles, plenty of different weapons.
Yeah.
Even their aircraft carrier, that steaming stuff.
Yeah.
Admiral Kuznetsov. So yeah. Even their carrier is basically called aircraft carrying cruiser because it's armed with, I think, missiles. Because Russian fleet mostly designed for defensive operations against American fleet, and with those drones, like they are not part of their thinking. They're not part of their strategy. So I think we can have huge advantage in this regard. Again, Ukraine doesn't need big ships. Ukraine doesn't need mosquito fleet. Basically, we need a swarm of those naval drones, and we can literally like obliterate Russian fleet.
Well, and they need to keep those ships docked a lot of the time as well. And one of the reasons is because many of the ships aren't nuclear. The nuclear ships have to refuel every 10 years. The non-nuclear ships have to refuel depending on how often they go, any number of days, maybe a couple of weeks. Their submarines have to surface if they're not a nuclear. They do have some nuclear submarines, but a lot of them as well are still diesel, which means they have to surface to recharge the batteries. Makes them a lot more vulnerable. This is okay for a defensive fleet because they can be protected. It is not okay for an offensive fleet because there's no way to protect them, and that's when they're vulnerable in the exact way that they got struck by the Ukrainians.
And to just make a correction, Russia's aircraft carrier is actually Ukraine's aircraft carrier that they stole. And the reason why Russia's aircraft carrier, which belongs to Ukraine, has not been brought into the fight is because they actually didn't build shore facilities for it. So they used the generators and they wore the ship out.
Well, we've got a few viewer questions we want to start getting to here, and we have a couple of shout outs first. So we'll turn to Claire and then over to Dave.
Oh, okay. First, we have for $6.90 from Mrs. Operator Starsky, and it was in Russian. And I'm going to blame Google Translation for this, but it translates to Putin has a small dick.
That was obviously an error in translation. I wasn't aware he had one, but anyway, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Okay, that's a good puzzle. Okay, and
microscope and tweezers. He needs that to go to the bathroom.
I have some questions for Mrs. Operator Starsky now.
I bet you do.
I do too. It's like personal experience. Like, okay, there's a lot. We're going to have to get back to that. Because
I'm sure one of the questions is, who are you? And what are you doing in my house? Get out.
She's just charging her phone.
Exactly. From that Indian dude for $10. Also, shout out to the nation of Georgia, a small nation with a large heart, about one of the most beautiful folk music I have ever heard. Thank you, that Indian dude. And coming in again, from Putin will hang in the middle of Kremlin for $7.99. How soon do you think Severodonetsk will be liberated? I guess that's for you, Starsky.
I think first of all, we have to deal with those huge forces that are concentrated in the area of Bakhmut, because that's one of their three main directions of advance. And Russians concentrate huge amount of those Wagnerites in that area. So that's a big question, actually. As soon as they start retreating, of course. But another thing is that there's basically nothing to liberate, because Severodonetsk as well as Rubizhne, they almost don't exist anymore. They were destroyed by Russian artillery and bombs. That was the reason why my brigade had to move out from Rubizhne and Severodonetsk and then to Lysychansk, because they had nothing left to defend in that area. It was very, very hard to even create some kind of positions there, because the whole city was ruined. So even if we liberate Severodonetsk again, I think that we will have to build this city from scratch once again.
All right, well, to you, Dave.
Sure thing. We did have a similar sort of question. I think now that we've seen such joy in Kherson, we now expect more, and hopefully the full liberation of the entire country. So Stephen was asking how long to get to Mariupol. I assume that's not on the train. Like, how long until it's liberated?
Again, it's very hard to say about time, because if we knew it, enemy wouldn't know it as well. We were predicting that Kherson was gonna be liberated before the end of the year, which is basically the case, but nobody knew the exact date. So we cannot talk much about it, unfortunately. I wish I knew, of course.
No sweat. I also, in the middle of that, realized I had the wrong background attached, and Dick has not set up the chroma key. That's absolutely fine. There was another one from Johan. I think it's Johan. Are you looking for radioactivity, poison, cancerogens, pathogens in Kherson? Poisoning the water supply is only one way they can have prepared a surprise. Very sinister.
Yes, it may be. We have intelligence for this purpose. We also have our radiation, bacteriology, and chemical warfare companies and services working in that area. It's very important because, again, there's Zaporizhian power plant not too far away from that area. That's why we have to monitor the radio background all the time. So we will be prepared for that.
There is a really interesting one that's just come in from Sweet. I will get back into some of the questions from earlier, don't worry. Operator Starsky, will Ukraine cut the water supply to Crimea? It's an interesting tactic.
Of course. I don't see any other option.
So they're actually dependent on your supplies. Did they not think that through?
So the thing is, I'm not even sure that this channel even works because from what I remember, when they captured Kherson, they tried to launch the water supply to Crimea once again, but the channel was in a very, very bad condition. It would take probably maybe a year to clean it up and to repair it and stuff. So I'm not even sure that it works, but I gotta check that information because I'm not sure.
There's so many good ones that are coming through. Oh, Anna's not in the call. Do we know if Anna's going to rejoin in a few minutes? I'll save that question for her anyway. That's a really good one. Do keep them coming in. Madeline, you've asked, do you think Russia will now divert troops from Kherson to Bakhmut and to the north and to the Belarus border, Sumy, etc.? I apologize for pronunciation.
I would bet on Sumy, probably. I would bet on Sumy. Maybe it will happen sometime before March, probably end of February. So we can expect that. In my opinion, that's just based on different rumors and information from different unconfirmed sources.
Is there, and this is one from me, is there the thought going through your minds tactically not to celebrate excessively because that might provoke more of a reaction, or are you making a show of it and are you saying actually we are strong, we're happy, etc., we're liberated, you know?
The latter one, because actually liberation of Kherson gives us the opportunity to be more confident during the upcoming negotiations whenever we have them. So I don't see a reason why we should not celebrate, not to make Putin angry.
I mean, given form, it doesn't take very much, does it? You just sitting there doing nothing in the tank's role. Nick, did you have a question you had?
I had a comment on an earlier one, but I've spaced it. So sorry. Now I'm on the water. I've spaced it. Sorry, my bad.
That's all right. The camera came on and I got excited. We always love hearing from Nick.
Oh, thank you.
He's our friend.
Well, thank you so much. I was laughing at your joke actually about the just simply do nothing in the tank's role. So.
No, there we are. Claire, do we have any more? I think we do have a few comments. I didn't see if there were any supers that came through.
I do have one super with a question from level
Lovely.
70 again. We have $6.99. But does anyone have any idea how long until the power grid is completely restored in Ukraine so there are no more rolling blackouts?
It's gonna happen as soon as Russians stop using their drones and missiles, because it doesn't matter how much we repair those uh, power objects, power plants and stuff, but they can still destroy them. We have information from our allied countries that agreed to send Ukraine like transformators and different equipment to replace everything that was destroyed. But unfortunately, we have a lot of power plants that were damaged. And it's gonna take a while to repair them. But again, there's still danger of missile strikes. So it's a tough task. On the other hand, the president of European Parliament, I think, said that even in case Ukraine completely loses all of its power plants, power producing facilities, eventually Europe will be able to supply Ukraine with power, which I think is amazing. But I hope that we won't need that.
A number of countries have been providing, as everyone knows, military aid to Ukraine, but they've been much slower in providing civilian necessities, such as things that you need to replace the damaged, specifically electrical infrastructure, and that's obviously critical, and that seems to have been overlooked. You just mentioned that you have a deal to get some more of those. How much civilian equipment and specifically replacement parts for generators and things like that are you expecting, and how soon, and how much is your government, let me rephrase that, sorry, very poorly worded, are you anticipating having those needs met, and are countries stepping up to help provide those needs, and what does that look like right now?
Yeah. So from the information that we have available on the internet, there was a report that there is already some kind of commission or committee. Yes. So that was specifically created to combat the power crisis in Europe, and they are now working to help Ukraine. But generally, I don't think that I'm competent enough to answer this question, because of, like, I'm a military.
We do have a few more questions if you want to go straight to the live chat. We have one in from Driving in Luton. I'll ask this one for you and Anna if she manages to reconnect. Do you think Belarus's People Army will rise up against Lukashenko if the war keeps going so badly for Russia?
It's not gonna happen, in my opinion, because army is army. Army does its duties and follows orders. Ukrainian army would follow orders in 1993, when Ukrainian officer had salary of something like $40 a month. So it doesn't matter much. Army follows orders, and that's not gonna happen, in my opinion. So people must do that. Civilians, civilian activists must go on streets and protest and change their government, because army will not do that. From our experience of the Revolution of Dignity, some special services would give some information, partially illegally, to the protesters, like in a secret manner. Probably some military would just not interfere, and do whatever they can to not to like join protest, but not to interfere with the protest. But generally, protesters should not count on army, on police, and stuff like that. They should, unfortunately, do it themselves.
Good shout. Good shout. We should go to Claire. We got a couple of big shout outs to do.
We do. Starsky, Mrs. Operator Starsky has donated $69. And it's a, I'm translating here, but it is glory to the defenders of Ukraine. And thank you very much. Very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Operator Starsky. Love you. Thank you.
We got a good woman there, Starsky, regardless of her relations with Putin in personal information. I don't know.
You first of all, you clearly lucked out, Starsky, is the first thing I'm going to say. And if you ever meet her, then wow. I mean, then she'll be perfect, but you know.
There you go. and for $23.99 from Christina Forsgaard, this is a super warm hug from Finland. Stay strong. How are you doing, Slava Ukraini?
Love it. Thank you.
We'll go one more in the chat. I'll grab from Zong 1103 for $5. Just watched a video of Ukrainians with a captured pellet rifle that was issued to some poor orc. Any slingshots and airsoft turned up yet?
I'm not sure about slingshots, but I literally saw a Russian soldier with like a longbow and arrows.
Wow. Oh,
it was all over the internet like a couple of days ago.
Was he maybe just looking for supper? Like just like going out hunting?
Maybe he was.
That was a good question. I want to get the answer to that one. How are you doing? How are you holding up?
Yeah.
Doing fine because I'm motivated by the best people of planet Earth, so I'm always feeling fine.
I think that guy with the longbow. I think maybe was he one of the Russian artillery units? I don't know. Is that the resorting to now?
Yeah. They're begging North Korea for shells. It's only a matter of time till it's bows and arrows.
Yeah. It's still artillery if you use a metal tip on your arrow.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I feel like my dream can finally come true, and I will fight them with like a sword on a horse.
That's a great visual, actually.
Well, they'll have a sword. You'll have a Glock, is what it sounds like at this point.
Yeah, I will have a sword and a Glock.
Okay.
Have any T-34s been spotted? You know, like when those things were new, you had to use a mallet to shift the gears.
Yeah. I think if they run out of T-62 tanks, probably we can expect T-34s, because this may happen. They have a lot of that garbage still in their storages, and yeah, they can probably use them as well. Some countries, I think some probably African countries, I checked that on Wikipedia, they still use T-34 tanks that obviously came from Russia, so that is possible, absolutely.
Wow, that's just moving everybody right into the future of I can't even finish it. Fuck.
Mallet powered tanks, mallet powered technology. Yeah.
How many hamsters on wheels does it take to power a tank?
Well, I mean, you know that the Germans, particularly towards sort of the latter part of the World War II, with literally pulling tanks and trucks by horses. So we probably won't be long before we start seeing that happening, actually pulling tanks.
Well, I think I said this earlier. They found a way to make the T-62s much cheaper and much faster now. They only have to go in reverse. It makes it really
And Dave, I think you had a question for Anna.
Yeah, perfect. She's back.
I did, and she's back. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Marvelous, excellent. It's been sprung on me, and it was a question about whether the Belarusian people are going to overthrow Lukashenko. Do you reckon it's possible?
I think yes. When I think about Russian and Belarus society, I don't even want to say Belarusian society. I feel the difference. At least they tried. And in summer 2020, they had their protest. Maybe they are a little bit different, and the protests are a little bit different, but they looked beautifully. And I know that in general, even more politically neutral society of Belarus is against war, in contrary to Russians who say we're apolitical, but let that special military operation continue. So Belarus people don't want that, and there are many Belarus volunteers who fight in Ukrainian armed forces, and I know that they also want to get the experience for the purposes that they may need in future. And in general, I have more hopes for the Belarus society. I think it's a little bit healthier. I can imagine free democratic Belarus in 10 years. And it's very difficult for me to imagine free democratic Russia in 10 years, even after Putin regime falls. I see so many bad tendencies, so many like deep propaganda influences that it will be very difficult to work with that society. And I think it will be much easier with Belarus society. But that's all very subjective.
I was going to say that's. I thought Starsky, if I recall, had said no to the overthrowing, and Anna said yes. So fight.
Well, Starsky said no to the. He said no to the military doing it, but said if it happens, it would have to be the people. Sorry.
Okay.
Is that accurate, Starsky? Sorry, I shouldn't. You're here, so.
Yeah, something like that. So it's not like I believe this gonna happen. I think
no. that's the gist of what I thought you said.
Yeah, but in case it happens, they should not rely on army or police to rise up against Lukashenko, because it's not gonna happen, definitely.
I think that sometimes in my channel, I come across comments from Russians, those who are supposed to be good Russians, who tell me like, you will liberate Russia. With the victory of Ukraine, you will liberate Russia. I'm like 100%. It's a task of like your nation to liberate your own nation. You may look for allies, but it's kind of weird to expect that the Ukrainians will liberate Russia. And so I don't think we will liberate Russia or we will liberate Belarus, but Lukashenko's regime is very much dependent on Putin's regime. If Putin has troubles, Lukashenko disappears. So maybe they won't even need like something like that. I mean some kind of revolution or something, military things or something like that. And in general, the society is more like prepared to, I think, once again, I think is more prepared to some normal processes than Russian. They are not that chauvinistic, for example. They are not that arrogant. They know that Russia took away many of their things, starting with language and self-respect. So maybe they will be more, how do you say it, like responsive to therapy?
It's yeah, Matt, I was just going to call you in.
All right, no,
rehabilitated is that the word that you were looking for?
Thank you.
There we go.
That's it.
I thought it cut out for me. I thought we lost Anna for a second. That's what I was going to say. We lost Anna for a moment. Yeah, I've just got a quick question for you, Anna, if I may. You said that you live in an area that's quite close to the Belarusian border. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
With Ukraine.
Yeah.
So with the, I mean, there's been almost like going back a couple of weeks ago, almost sort of daily threats that there might be Belarusian forces rejoining the fight again from the north. So what's the feeling of the people in your area like at the moment? How are they sort of feeling about that, or do they really not take much notice of it anymore?
There was no panic, honestly, and I remember the 11th of March very well. Like, we did not believe full-scale war is possible. Then we saw full-scale war is possible. We were very much like impressed with that. Many horrible things were happening, and everywhere on my regional news, we had information that at 21 p.m., at 9 p.m., Belarus army will start moving in the direction of our city. And I remember waiting for that, and I was like 100% sure they will. I was checking the clock, and there were many of such people. I cannot say that I'm media illiterate or something, but being in that psychological state, seeing awful things happening around your capital, you start believing that. And I remember like 21, 9 o'clock, you hear the sounds and you start thinking, oh, perhaps they have started marching. Now I realize that Ukrainians have become more war educated, if it's possible to say so. We realize that things do not start like that at 9 o'clock. No one begins marching or something. Plus, I know that we are pretty well prepared here. So what people were really afraid of, and plus Belarus is long time in this war, giving its land, giving its weapons and many of its military people to Russia. So for us, it was not like a question, but we were more afraid of the information about this kamikaze drone, about the movements of some vehicles that are suitable for missile attacks. So these are the things that we are more afraid of, because this is more realistic. And we don't believe that Russian soldiers or Belarus soldiers on tanks will appear here, because the border is pretty well protected. Now we also built a wall, marshes, trees, and like a widespread network of very active people, starting from territorial defense and finishing with Ukrainian armed forces. So no one was afraid that like they will appear in some of the cities in a couple of hours, but missile attacks, kamikaze drones, this is all very real.
Well, Lukashenko has one major redeeming quality, and that's that he's a coward. He really has no interest in invading. He has no interest in invading. He really is going to avoid it if at all possible. He's also aware that while he may be able to fight somewhat better than the Russians, he will lose badly to the Ukrainian army. So one of the things that he's done is given his full support to Russia. And what that means is he's sending all of his weapons to Russia for them to fight and die with. And now that Russia's been asking for them to send troops, he's like, I can't arm my troops. He's also been sending them his best offensive weaponry for precisely the situation which was brought up earlier, which was if anybody does decide to rebel against him, all the offensive weaponry is now out of the country. So that was actually very deliberate, and so he now has no ability to wage an offensive war, at least in terms of his troops. He can still send missiles, and the Ukrainians have for the most part. This is what we kind of saw on paper, but that doesn't, it's very different when you're getting the threats. But it seems to have panned out, which is he has zero intention of ever sending troops if he can help it, and he will give up his weapons so that he doesn't have to. This isn't to say that he's a pleasant man. This isn't to say he's not squarely, completely on Putin's side. He is. He needs Putin, and he will support Putin as much as possible. He doesn't want to send troops, and he's undermined his own ability to do so, and he's done it quite successfully.
That's funny. Janine in the chat there, thank you so much, Janine. She sent us in the little video of the orc with the bow and everything. So we've got Starsky here, and then we're going to play the video. So Starsky, jump on in here.
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to
we got both of you. Sorry.
Yeah?
Oh, no, I thought I was muted, but I couldn't see that Anna's hand is up as well. So we got a couple of things, and then we're going to jump to that video. So there we go.
Sorry, Anna, real quick remark. Small shout out to Janine, because she made this awesome fudge pillow in her merch store, and you can check it out. It's adorable. I would like to have one, but I have a real fudge to sleep on. And another thing, literally from a military standpoint, I remember prior to this invasion, we had this refugee crisis with illegal immigrants in Belarus. And we had a situation on the border between Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland. And my brigade participated in stabilizing operation in that area. And I remember that we were located literally in the area where we could see Polish border guards. We would wave and they would wave back and stuff. And then there was part of Belarusian border where there was like nobody. So basically they were sitting there in their observation points, like in an ambush, you know, between the bushes and observing us. So that's when we knew that they are not friendly.
I think everybody's excited about the pillow in the chat there. So Janine's going to drop the merch store link coming up here. Anna.
Yeah, also just a very quick remark that I remember that video with Lukashenko with a pointer. It became viral in Ukrainian Facebook and elsewhere when he was explaining the purposes of the military operation and the dangers that Ukraine posed on Belarus. And he was using a pointer pointing and a paper map, and it all looked so like retro that somehow we stopped being afraid of Belarus if their chief commander uses pointer. So it all looked like a geography teacher from the 50s in the USSR.
He was like, yeah, he was like, I will show you when where exactly Ukraine wanted to attack Belarus.
That's funny as hell.
Using Ukrainian mosquitoes, no doubt.
Oh, we have a super chat in. I think we could turn over to Claire for a second. Or did I catch her offhand? There we go.
Nope, you got me. From Boston Danny for $9.99. Recently saw a video of Yuri getting blown up again. He brushed it off and kept fighting. I heard he only took shrapnel to the leg, but have you heard? Is he really okay? He's a living legend.
Good one. Good one.
Yes. Just a second. So yeah, I have a message from Yuri. Just a second. Yeah, so he's fine, more or less, and he sent me a video, by the way. So yeah, he said he was almost killed there, but because he messaged me, obviously he's fine. He's a legend. Yeah, I mean, he's
wow,
incredible.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We have one more from Mrs. Operator Starsky. And it is for $6.90, and they just want to clarify that. Listen, Putin has a small dick is common knowledge and not a personal anecdote. Period. Okay, and I should just say it right out and not have to worry about it. And thank you very much, Mrs. Operator Starsky, for that clarification.
It is true. The size of a dictator's schlong is inversely proportional to the missiles they have in their parade.
Oh boy.
Funny. Oh, that's funny. We should turn to a couple of viewer questions, and then we're going to do Samantha's Ukraine shout out of the week. Interesting. I guess she couldn't be here tonight, but we'll go to Dave for a couple of viewer questions here.
Well, happily. Did you have the video at all?
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll play that quick. Okay, hold on. I forgot about that. Yeah, here we go. This looks ridiculous. What do you think? I think he got a rabbit. I think he was just looking for lunch.
I think next time we will literally see like an Orthodox cross. They will be using it to stop tanks. I swear, you will see that.
Dick, you can get up that video of the fake martial arts with a cross.
Oh, I don't know that I have that handy. I was rebuilding my desk and everything today, and one hard drive, an external one, is not plugged in right now.
Let me see if I find it.
Yeah, okay.
I'll ask a question. Felicia has asked, did Anna make pizza for Starsky yet? Is there a story there that I've missed?
That just won't go away, will it, guys? If you don't have pizza soon, the internet's going to flip out.
I didn't know you were that close to my region when you were guarding that border during the immigrants crisis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and we have a shout out that just came in. Look at that. Perfect timing as Starsky types away in the background to get himself prepared. We can turn to Claire for a cool shout out.
Yes, we can. For 10 from Simon Shorthouse, the Shills, Aristotle said Iran has suspended the supply of weapons to the Russian Federation. Seems sketchy. Any thoughts?
I wouldn't believe an Iranian leader as far as I could pick up his punk ass and throw him down a fucking side of a cliff.
Maybe they did for now. On the other hand, what we know is that Russia, they received support from Russia in terms of their nuclear program as well as aviation technologies. So probably and also they received a bunch of trophy weapons, Western weapons that were captured on the front lines, such as Stinger missile, such as Javelin and NLAW. So probably they're satisfied with that so far. We will see.
All right. Let's turn over to Dave here for a couple of viewer questions and see where we end up.
Mary has asked how much damage was done to the dam bridge when Russia blew it up.
So we have information that there are 3 water gates that are leaking at this point, but the damage is not crucial. So I think that we will be able to repair it.
Good stuff. Claire, you had your hand up?
I do. There's a question from Mary Tyson, and she would like to know, Starsky, if you do a lot of recon missions.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I did once. But the problem is I'm old and I have a very, very bad memory. That's why I was transferred from my recon platoon.
Okay. All right, thank you for answering.
We do have Samantha's shout of the week here. Streamlabs has already been shouting it out, so you'll see. But and the button's broken, so I don't have the fanfare to go into the beginning here. What are you going to do? But Sam's shout of the week here. Where's the damn picture? What the hell happened? I thought I had this all lowered, loaded up.
Do it. Right. Yeah.
Well done, Dave. Well done.
Wow. What was that?
Yeah, what? OBS just won't bring up the damn picture. Okay, hold on a minute here. I'm just fudging this all to hell. Let's see if we can get this right somehow. What the hell is going on? Here we go. We'll try again.
You would insist on using OBS, Dick, you know.
Oh, don't even start, you Mac hater. Here we go. And Sam's shout out of the week is none other than Max and Bogdan. All right. Awesome idea. And their PayPals for personal donations to help in the struggle and the fight and keep everybody rocking and grooving are being dropped continuously into our live chat. Just look for the Streamlabs bot to shout out the PayPal links, and you'll be able to follow through, hit them up, and do exactly what we should all do. And the artwork you're seeing is from Sam herself, who couldn't be here today, I guess.
Okay. Sam, great job. Great job.
Very cool. Very cool. So definitely a worthwhile place for a few of your hard-earned dollars to go. Links will be in the chat. You'll see them. Good shout. Good shout. Where do we go now? We've still got some time. No big rush here. So I think we should turn to Dave because there's probably some questions we can get in.
Sure. Peter was asking on a sadder note, have Ukraine soldiers found anything horrible in Kherson, graves, etc.?
I don't have this information at this point. We will see, because there's still a lot of things to be assessed in that area, so we'll keep our eye on it.
No sweat. Alez, I really don't know. Whenever there's a letter with a little squiggle in it, I just melt apart. So sorry if I've mispronounced that. Can you ask Operator Starsky, what measures are they taking to prevent Russia from using artillery and bombing Kherson from the other side of the river?
So we are using counter-battery measures, mostly because whenever they use their artillery, we have artillery radars used specifically to identify the location of their artillery, and then we use our artillery, which has greater range, by the way, and this is how we fight their artillery. So only so it's either preventive strikes, but mostly it's strikes in response.
And just continuing about the tactics and the situation, if I'm correct, once in Crimea, 3CY will be in HIMARS range of the Black Sea Fleet, even when safely parked in their harbour, right? Something new to hope for now that Kherson is freed.
Well, basically, the Black Sea Fleet is operating in the easternmost part of the Black Sea, out of the range of our missiles. But yeah, we'll see what we can do.
We do make a big thing about how winter is coming, without any copyrighted Game of Thrones references. There was one as well from Rodent. That's just disappeared because there was new questions thrown up. There we go. Is COVID and or the regular flu a concern for Ukrainian troops? I guess that's obviously more of a concern this time of year.
Well, for some reason, COVID disappeared from Ukraine. Like, not completely disappeared, because I know people with cases of COVID still, but it's not as widespread as it was previously, because probably all people in Ukraine already had their vaccine. So it's not a big concern for Ukrainian troops, specifically because all the soldiers have multiple vaccines and booster injections. As for flu and stuff, well, again, Ukrainians live in this kind of environment for thousands of years. I think we're accustomed to this specific climate. So again, it's not a big concern.
And just quickly, Nick couldn't get back into the call. He's got to go off. So it might as well be me that promotes most ironic person to actually promote this, but for Nick. But go check out In Time. It's a great show. What is it? Is it Fridays that you're with Nick Starsky?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Are you with Nick on In Time every Friday?
Yes. So it's every Friday, 8 p.m. Ukrainian time.
Yeah, they came up with this wicked idea to do a weekly show about updating people on events in Ukraine with operator Starsky. It was brilliant.
Unique idea.
Just kidding, Nick.
Nick will even throw in a few pounds of frozen orc meat this winter if you go on a show.
Frozen, so it won't spoil. I think we have a shout out there, Claire, do we?
Yes, we do. From Putin will hang in the middle of Kremlin for 5. Volunteers in Australia are collecting body bags for new orc recruits. We'll be sending them directly to Moscow. You're welcome.
I love it.
Anna, what's your opinion on that?
On Australian volunteers sending packs for Russians. I know it was one of the most popular Halloween costumes, like to dress up as Russian. And this means just to take this body package, or how do you call it, and bring it. And well, I think they start to realize that that's the best supply they need and the best supply they will get from their country. Actually, this is so tragic how Russia treats its own soldiers, and it was always like that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But that leads to a good question from the chat. Can you take this question for us, Anna? What has changed culturally because of the Russian invasion? Do Ukrainians who spoke only Russian before the war try to learn Ukrainian today?
Yeah, 100%. Putin, with his war in Ukraine, achieved just the contrary of what he wanted. He wanted to denationalize Ukraine, and he united us. We are stronger and more united than ever before. Many people who were not that much into their cultural heritage, learning languages, and so on, became interested. And many people who were, let's say, Russian neutral, they did not believe this war is possible. And now they saw the true face, and they became learning more. And when you look into Ukrainian history, you see 300 years of wars with Russia. It's not just about like this February or 2014. It's like 300 years or more. So I can hear and I see many people switching into Ukrainian, and not forced, but forced by their desire. They don't want. And we have one very good saying here in Ukraine that it's not that important what language like you speak. It's very important what language your children will speak. And I'm sure that all Ukrainian children will speak Ukrainian and English and other good languages, but not Russian for a couple of decades at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can add to that because we have this most popular Ukrainian band called The Hard Kiss, and Yulia Sanina, they have their songs in English or Ukrainian, but Yulia, the vocalist, the singer, she speaks Russian. And recently I read an article where she said that she's gonna like forget Russian language forever or something like that, that she's gonna switch to Ukrainian language.
Just a comment and a question. When Anna said the Russians treat their soldiers like crap, I do not remember which Tsar it was. It might have been Peter the Great. He was basically given an army of children his age, and he commanded them in actual combat against generals. And the kids were getting killed while he was being trained to be Tsar. But I don't remember which Tsar.
Yeah, it may be. And you know what really is surprising, that many peoples, many generals who started war with Russia they were building that strategy based on some human values too. And I remember reading memoirs, like coming across quotes from various different generals who spoke that like it's very difficult to fight with Russia because they don't care about their own people at all. And it is not typical like for any army. They try to save people, if not like very humanistic, then at least from this resources point of view. And Russians are different. If they need to take a city or something for a particular date, they are ready to sacrifice hundreds and thousands of people, as they did even during the Second World War, just because they want it to look good. And it is all repeated, and I think that we will see many awful things as they will withdraw from Ukraine. But they deserve it.
Yes, they absolutely do. We should turn to Claire. We've got a couple of shouts we can get in. If Claire's ready. Is Claire ready? I think Claire's ready.
Always.
So Claire
Right.
fainted for a second.
No, almost.
How large
almost.
that super chat is?
It is rather. For first off, for Stephen Walsh for 100. Warm greetings from Alaska. Buy some merch from Starsky's web stores and show some love from Stephen. Thank you, Stephen, very much. And yes, I think we all agree. Get over there and buy some merch, especially that fudge pillow sounds adorable, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then from AK Crowd 74, we have $10, and they do not have a message and asked me to just take a chat question from the group. Okay, so from Johan Jansen, are the freezer trains still standing full with body bags that Russia won't acknowledge?
So I didn't hear I didn't hear about that freeze train for quite a while. The most recent stuff that I heard about it was that they were still collecting bodies. It's gonna be a very, very long train, believe me.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Okay, well, back to you, Dave. You have questions?
Yeah, I think we're over to Dave for a couple of questions. Absolutely.
Sure thing. I was just reading one from my cat's pet human, who says, is the cold, wetter weather going to slow down the Ukrainian advances now, or can we look forward to more gestures of goodwill from the orcs in the very near future? I would have thought you would have added strength, and the Russians would be struggling.
I think it depends on the territory, on the location mostly. But generally, I think that Russians will suffer a lot because we know that they have problems with their logistics a lot. And we are improving those problems as much as we can. That's why I think that they will be suffering, of course. We will do everything possible to improve it.
There is a really good question I want to know the answer to from Johan. Are the freezer trains still standing full with body bags that Russia won't acknowledge? So I remember this question for about 4 months ago.
Yes.
We just had that question, I think, haven't we?
I think we did.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And it's my fault, or Dave, because AK Crowd made a donation and asked me to just take something right from the chat, and I did.
Oh, no. You know what? I messed up. I wasn't listening. That's absolutely fine.
It happens. It happens.
2 demerit points.
Is it?
I know. I was in the live chat.
You know, spankings for everybody in the post call. There we go.
Woohoo!
So to be fair, one did just come in very quickly, and I don't think Claire's already stolen it from me.
No, I did.
From Peter. From Peterborough. It was for Anna in Ukraine. What we're going to do again, we're going to try and get 2 lots of answers then, and we're going to see if you can fight. So it's like Mr. and Mrs. where they have to come up with the same answer.
But Dave, that's going to be difficult because Anna dropped for a moment.
Yeah, we have to wait for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, for Starsky, or what I'll ask is instead, what have been over the past 6, 7, 8 months the happiest moments of your life that you can take from the war?
So I think it's in April when our sushi delivery started working in Kyiv. Yeah, and
I was expecting, spirit of the Ukrainian people or something, but no, you go for it. Go for it. You go for it.
Kegs of beer.
Because it's food. I mean, there must be some positive in our lives, right? So yeah, it's when sushi started. It's when sushi delivery opened, and I was promoted to the first lieutenant. It was like 2 weeks before my planned promotion, which kind of fail, But anyways, so I ordered plenty of sushi, and our whole fortress was invited, and we had a lot of sushi. It was great.
That does sound good.
That's awesome. I also really stripping this all the way back to the beginning. I remember you talking about one of your favorite restaurants, and I can't remember whether it reopened.
Yes, it is. But actually, to be serious, I think the happiest moment was when Bogdan returned from captivity, because we were mentioning Bogdan every time we talked with our friends and stuff, and a couple of days before he returned, I started memorizing something from what he told me, sometime, once in the past. And I think it was exactly the day when he returned. I was memorizing some stuff we were talking about, and all of a sudden, and so probably I think that subconsciously I kind of expected that it was gonna happen, and it was exactly the day when he returned. And then the next day he called me in the morning, and I was sleeping after the stream, and he called me. And I pick up the phone, and he was like, "Hey, bro." And I was like, "Who is it? Fuck you." And I dropped the phone, and he called back, and he was like, "Hey, bro." I was like, who the hell is this? And it was like, me, Bogdan. Guys, I was crying.
I can only imagine.
Shouting, swearing, crying. I said, "Dude, I will be there in 1 hour." And he said, "No rush, yeah, I have some business to do." And then we met that day, and actually it's on my video on my channel. It was amazing. I think it was one of my happiest days.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised you haven't mentioned I was going to mention Eurovision as well. That seems to be a particular high. Instant smile there from Starsky. Speaking about it, do you think you'll make it by May? Because you'd have to. There's a lot riding on it, but yeah,
be cool.
Free tickets on Matt. Matt will pay.
Yeah, right.
To Liverpool. Yeah.
We should turn to Claire here. We've got a really good shout out to get in. Is she all set and ready there? I think so.
Mm-hmm. Again, from AK Crowd 74, a new member for $50. Can you let operator Fudge on so everyone will buy the pillow from the store? They want to see Fudge. Starsky.
He's sleeping, guys. He's sleeping. He's sleeping 15 hours a day actually, but I don't want to wake him up because he will be angry. And he will push me in the night.
You don't.
So yeah.
No angry Fudge. Yeah, we don't angry Fudge.
Yeah, or he can pee in my shoes in the night. So
yeah.
it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Guys. Let the dog sleep.
By the way, that's not Futch that's peeing in your shoes. That's Mrs. Starsky.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. From Putin will hang in the middle of the Kremlin for 5. Australian washing machines manufacturers are working 24/7 to produce them. We'll drop them over the border in Russia. The orcs will go home then.
I love it.
Yeah, actually, it was crazy. One of the recent videos of captured Russian positions near Kherson, and how do you think there was like a washing machine stolen?
Of course there was. That's what makes it so funny. It's true. It's so ridiculous. And it's true. Yeah. It's funny.
And there's one last shout out that came in, I do believe we can get to.
Okay.
Didn't you get the thingy for it yet? No?
Yeah, there's one for Sam. Do you want me to,
I
read
do
it out?
see it.
You got it?
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, there's 2. I see them. They just popped up. There's one from Zomb 1103 for 5. Starsky, just wanted to say that your video on Russian propaganda was excellently done. It is definitely a video I want to share everywhere.
Yes.
Very nice comment. Thank you so much, Zomba, for that. And from Sam Williams, hello, Sam, 420. Weekly shout out for Ukraine. Kherson's liberation is beyond amazing, but let's honor those who sacrificed their lives for the freedom of Ukraine and the democratic world. And then, Starsky, can you read that? I wouldn't mess that up.
Wonder if I can make it bigger for you here, buddy.
Yeah. So she says "Razom my sila," which means together we are power.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Great shout, Sam. Thank you.
Yeah, and actually, Sam speaks more Ukrainian language than I do on a daily basis,
And very elegantly too. Yeah, always a wonderful comment. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. We do have something that we definitely have to switch to. It's one of those things that you just have to do in life sometimes.
Oh,
A
I
tale
like
from
it.
the young Starsky.
Every time you bring that up, Dick, the first thing that Starsky does, he starts scratching his head. He's like, "What the hell am I going to come up with now?"
I gotta think, guys. I need a minute.
Sure. We'll give him a second to come up with a tale that everybody can, enjoy.
I mean, there's probably a limit to how many stories you can actually tell from your childhood. It's probably after a while they're probably going to get quite routine and boring. Otherwise, you're probably going to lead a really exciting life all his life. I certainly haven't.
Oh, he's just going to start just making up bullshit.
Yeah, we wouldn't know, would we? Wouldn't have a clue. We just made it up.
Exactly. I remember when Grandpa took me out hunting my first orc.
That's probably true. No, I'm only joking.
Too funny. Well, let's let Dave pull something from the question hat, and maybe the question can be directed towards the panel as much as anything, to give Starsky a moment of personal reflection to decide of a story to share.
Absolutely. There is one question out there that is intended for Starsky, but I'll throw it out to the panel from Madeline. The USA General Austin said losses of Ukraine and Russia are the same, about 100,000 dead. Do you agree with these figures? I think unanimously we wouldn't agree. But I guess the question to the panel would be, what is the best way to verify whether something is true?
Oh. For myself, when it comes to verification, I always try to use multiple sources. And if it's a situation where there can be some partisan type stuff in it, I'll make sure that I check sources that are kind of leaning one side or the other. But it's gathering multiple, and then that way you get more of a real feel. Definitely don't just trust a Facebook post and run with it, because you're usually going to get left with egg on your face. That'd be me. Who's next?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I see commanders that are unmuted.
I'd say using primary news sources that have been consistent over time and usually don't change their stories or their narratives. And if someone keeps changing what they're telling you, well, my mom always said this: if you tell the truth, you never have to remember the story that more than one thing that you told. And liars change what they say and their reasonings quite often.
True. Mama said life's like a box of chocolates. No, sorry, I'm only joking. Sorry, no, but that's very true. Very true.
Oh, yeah, good answer. Good answer. Anybody else want to take a stab at that? Claire, you do a lot of research type stuff on the channel. No,
I do, but I don't even know where to start, to tell you the truth.
So we shouldn't trust the information you bring us then? Is that what you're saying?
No,
I'm just kidding.
Absolutely. Don't ever trust a woman who wears cat ears and calls herself a bear. I mean, why would you? Really? Like,
probably a good point.
It's a good point, right? I mean, come on. I thought it was obvious, but no, actually, you caught me off guard, actually. That's what
no worries.
Because
no
I'm
worries.
Just, to be honest, cannot
okay.
answer it.
I don't listen to you, Claire. You don't listen to me. We clarified this.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Like, Dave, we're just not connecting. We got to work on it today. We're usually better than this. I know.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, we do have a super chat shout out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. I can put it in the room right now. There we go. Oh, it's in a couple of times. Sorry. Oops.
That's okay. From Martin Lefebvre for 5. The internet wants to know about that pizza because everyone could see the stars sparkling in Starsky's eyes when he greeted Anna on his stream.
Oh, dear God. This is no end for you, buddy.
And they even added the little heart eyed emoji, like Starsky.
We just read out the super chat, Starsky. You can say whatever you like. Don't blame us.
It's because Anna was talking about pizza, and the most direct path to my heart is via stomach.
Yeah.
So. And as for the story, I will tell you probably some of my army stories because I was younger, anyways. So this one happened, by the way, with Bogdan, and I probably told you, that I liked to pretend I was a mercenary back in my days when we were deployed on the front lines. And once we went to a store, we went directly from our positions to the store because we needed to buy some batteries for our night vision devices and stuff. And as soon as we entered the store, because it never happened usually, as soon as we entered the store, and again, because my brigade was kind of unique, we were wearing all the tactical gear and multicam and stuff. And as soon as we entered the store, I said loudly in English. I said, "Alrighty, boys, we need some bananas and yogurts for y'all Bedford. And I think that bananas are over there, over yonder, you know." And
That's pretty
yeah,
good, actually.
and everybody in the store went silent, and then we went just around the store, and Bogdan, there was a bunch of younger guys near the cashier, and he asked them in Ukrainian, but with this English, like tough English accent. He asked, "Guys, do you know where I can find those batteries?" You know, and they were like, "Yeah, they over there, yeah." And then we were paying for the stuff, and again we were talking, you know, in English, mostly me, and the cashier, there was this beautiful girl. She told me the price for everything, and I was like looking at Bogdan like, how much, you know. And then when we exited the store, Bogdan told me that in her eyes he already could see like everything, like wedding on the shores of Mississippi and stuff. It was kind of cool. Yeah, and then we went to another store and pretended we were Polish soldiers. Yeah, and I said to Bogdan, because like according to the rules I was a mercenary and he was my like an interpreter, you know. Yeah, I asked him like, powiedz pani, że chce coś, że chce papierosy. Like I want to buy cigarettes, and she asked like, what color, and I was like, niebieski, the blue ones. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then Bogdan told me, we were on the way to the positions, and he told me, imagine that tonight she will tell her friend that, like, you know, today we had a bunch of those Ukrainian soldiers and 2 big Polish.
Oh.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
got a good question. Once,
Yeah, but now it's like it doesn't surprise anybody because you can hear all kinds of languages on the front lines.
Oh, I bet, yeah. Big time. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that was good. What do we got here?
Can I just read the chat from Sir Studley German Truth, because it's quite funny. He says, so the truth is Starsky single-handedly started the only NATO armies fighting Ukraine rumors. Yeah, that's where it all came from. All because of him.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's really good. Well, I mean, we're getting close on time here, so maybe we should do a little thoughts and wrap-ups and say our good nights and goodbyes and stuff. Claire, do you want to play host for us and send us around the table that we call the lovely panel we have here?
Well, thank you for trusting me with that, Dick. But anyway, let's start. We'll start with Commander 401. How did you find tonight?
Tonight was great. And remember, everybody, support Ukraine. Remember that the Russians will try to use your hatred towards your fellow countrymen to get you to do what you want, so don't hate anyone. And there's going to be a surplus of orc meat because it's not going to go bad this winter, and it will be really cheap, but get it before the spring, trust me, or else it will stink.
I guess we should start collecting those recipes, right, for specialized orc meat. All right, Matt, how are you tonight? How did you find this evening?
Yeah, it was good. It's always good to hear from Starsky. I can't think of anything funny to say for a change. But yeah, it's always good to hear from Starsky, and good to have Anna on. I know she's kind of been in and out sort of thing, but as you and I'm sure the link to her channel has been put on the chat. Is it by the bots? I'm sure it is. So if nobody's ever heard from her before, go and check her out. She's got some really good stuff going on. So go and check that out as well. So yeah, that's all I've got to say. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on again.
And on that, we're gonna go to Dave. We're gonna go to Dave.
Marvelous. You sound like you were preparing something and you just couldn't think
I'm
quick
just
enough. You're like, you're
I'm
going
waiting.
to
The other shoe, you know that whole American saying, like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Dave.
Yeah. Dave.
Yeah.
What you got for us, Dave?
In a similar vein, I will throw it out to Nick as well, who's also here on In Time. Go check him out. Interviewing Starsky's on Fridays. And I wanted to end on a little comment from somebody. I always pick the names that I can't pronounce. Zlurielt. I'm going to go with that. Who says, so satisfying to see Kherson freed on the same day as Polish Independence Day. Big middle finger to Russia.
Absolutely.
Didn't know that.
Oh my
Very
God,
good
it's Polish Independence Day, guys! Congratulations, Niech żyje
Yes.
Polska. We love you. You are awesome.
And good news on that day too, with everything that's been going on. And on that, first, I'd like to do a member shout out from Charlie Welch, our member for over 15 months, Charlie? Shill Apprentice. He says, Yorkshire pudding for all. Okay. And a comment from Ugly German Truth. While we're on recipes, the secret of making orc meat palatable is lots of booze to marinate, to flambe, and to wash down. You know what? That sounds like the perfect recipe right there. But on that,
Doesn't it become pre-marinated? Doesn't it become pre-marinated?
It depends on if you think all the holes in it is considered tenderized. I guess.
You're right. Maybe the booze just flowed out of it and then it died.
Okay.
Shall I do the voice, Ugly German Truth? I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. No, I don't want to do that. not quite there.
And on that,
for the sci-fi fans, you'd know what that means. But those of you that don't, then no, you.
I hope so.
No, I hope so. Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you?
You had to be a big nerd like the rest of us up here. But on that, Starsky, as always, how did you find tonight? Like, you are coming back next week, right?
I am. So it was great because, guys, I missed you for 2 weeks. So it was awesome night. And by the way, I want to add to Commander 401's commentary on orcs is that from our experience, I can tell you that it's gonna be perfect food for your dog because in Ukraine we have like fattest dogs in the world now. So you gotta consider that. And thank you so much. I was happy to see you guys and everybody in the chat, all the beautiful people who support Ukraine. Thank you so much.
And on that, back to you, Dick.
It was great. It was great to have Starsky back and, doing our stream together proper as it should be. But I'm sorry, orc meat?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's just wrong, man. Come on. So, but we do have to do our shout out to Putin, like our Pootler that we do at the end of each show.
Your intellect is as weak as your dollar. Failure is your destiny. You disrespect yourself and your nation. You are made of stupid.
You can't have a show without Sulu popping in to give his opinion. But, thanks for joining us, everybody, and supporting the channel and all that good stuff. And big shout out to everybody in Ukraine. Enjoy taking Kherson because it looks good on you. We'll send it to Claire.
Okay, we got one more. We've got a member for 29 months, Godless Scummer. Nice to see you, Shill Apprentice. Solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Yes, exactly. My sentiments too. Thank you, God.
Yes.
Yep.
Good to see you, Jeff.
So what do you think, Claire?
I always enjoy this show. I enjoy the camaraderie and the goofiness of my fellow piano that's here right now, and also when we have great conversation about what's really going on. Hearing from Starsky and Anna today was great because they give us great insight to everything that's actually happening and what it feels like to be a Ukrainian going through it. And then also to help us address the questions we hear in the news, because we don't always get the right stuff, especially here with our American press. So I'm always very honored to be here. And thank you, Starsky. I love the humor, and I'm following your Twitter. You make me laugh every damn day on a serious subject. But I just love that part of it because, if you have to be in such a situation, humor is mandatory. It's just 100% necessary, along with might and fortitude and the integrity that you deal with on the shows. I got to thank you a lot for it. So.
All right.
Anyway, speaks for yourself. I'm not goofy. I'm just old and senile.
No, you're a nerd. You're a nerd like me. Like,
I'm a nerd. Old and senile as well.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
A nerdy
senile nerd. Can't remember what he nerds I know about.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
True.
Well, I think we're good. So, Slava Ukraini, everybody, urge your government officials and whatnot to make sure that everybody's doing their part to help support them over there and kick those fucking orcs back to where they belong in hell with Satan. Let's say goodnight, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Slava Ukraini.
It's over. Go home. Go.